Joining me now are two media figures right in this debate, conservative radio host Hugh Hewitt and the Hill's media reporter Joe Concha. Joe, you look at this kind of back and forth and you say, Donald Trump's getting what he wants, maybe Vanity Fair is getting what it wants. Who's the wiser?
Who's the wiser? Everybody loses in this situation. For once, both sides are wrong. Donald Trump, look at it this way, Marist poll out today, 66% found Trump's tweets to be reckless and distracting. 90% of Democrats feel that way. Probably not surprising. So responding to a restaurant review as a president-elect, not the way to go. You want to push a policy, announce a cabinet appointment, wish everybody Merry Christmas and a Happy Hanukkah, good, do that. But for petulant fights like this, talking about a business he's supposed to be divorcing himself from, that's a problem. But here's the thing. That piece, that restaurant review, was not written by somebody who does restaurant reviews. She did them years ago, but at Vanity Fair, her name's Tina Nugent. You look at her archive, 100% anti-Trump. You look at her Twitter feed right now, 100% anti-Trump. She went in there with a predisposed notion before she sat down and said one bite that she was going to get a negative review to this restaurant, calling it the worst in history. But TripAdvisor, 244 reviews, 187 say it's excellent or very good. Only 24 call it poor. Zagat gives it 3 stars out of 5, not exactly bad.
Right.
So that's the thing. Trump is defending himself where he shouldn't, but that review never should have been written in the first place. But as you said, Vanity Fair benefits because Trump responds and the clicks go up, and that's all that matters.
Right. And Hugh, to broaden this out then, you look at what the media ends up covering and how Donald Trump so frequently plays the press. Look at the breakdown of coverage, something you know about from the campaign. When you actually say what was covered overall. Horse race, 42% of the coverage according to the studies. The other 24%. Controversy, 17%. Policy down at a measly 10%. Is that a problem, Hugh?
Sure it is, and in fact, you mentioned, Ari, the conversation I had yesterday morning on my radio show with Reince Priebus. It was 20 minutes long. We covered the timing of the Supreme Court announcement, the fact that the administration would lead with repeal and replace of Obamacare, followed by 2 tax bills in the reconciliation, and a bunch of other hard news. At the end, I threw off kind of a throwaway line about, hey, how about putting the talk show hosts in the front row of the White House? I think Salem Media Group ought to be there. It was a joke. And Reince then went into a bit about, well, mate, we're going to mix things up. And the press obsessed on itself. Now, here's what I think. And Joe just gave a very excellent example of context around the tweet on Vanity Fair. The president-elect likes to tweet. It's a hobby. We're going to get used to it. Reagan ran the media through Mike Deaver by doing 1 availability a day, and Donald Trump is training them like so many circus pets to chase his tweets. If we stay focused on, for example, Kellogg, Crowley, and Kudlow, 3 appointments late this afternoon. General Kellogg going to be the Chief of Staff of National Security. Monica Crowley, the very able former Nixon aide, former colleague of mine in that club of ex-Nixon aides, and Larry Kudlow going to the CEA. These are big news. We ought to be talking about this, not a Vanity Fair tweet.
Right. No, and I feel that, and there's always a meta quality to this, Joe, because we led today with Russia. We did 2 segments on that. We did a lot of coverage of the conflicts. We did Dylan Ratigan on hydroponic farming, but we left some time for tweets at the end. We're guilty of that. There's also the negativity bias, not left or right. But look at this. Hillary Clinton's press coverage from that same study, according to all media coverage here, negative 64 to 36. Gosh, that looks harsh. Now, does that mean that Clinton got the worst of it? No. The same study, 77% of Trump's coverage negative. And at a certain point, the controversies and Trump's willingness to attack and the media is willing to go down that road leaves a lot of viewers saying, God, is every story bad?
You may have heard these were the 2 most unpopular candidates in history. And I think the mistake the media made throughout the entire campaign was they covered the personality aspects too much. Is Hillary Clinton authentic? Is Donald Trump a bad guy because of what he said in the Access Hollywood tape? And everybody missed the policy aspect, the one message that resonated in Wisconsin, Michigan, Pennsylvania, Ohio, the Rust Belt states that he ended up winning. The blue wall was around trade and around jobs. So people prioritized. They said Trump may not be a bad guy, but we're going to vote for him because we agree with his policy position. And I think that's what we missed. We focused on the personality too much, and that's why it was negative, because there was 2 unlikable people.
And Hugh, final question to you on the foreign policy front. What should the press do when you have something as well as Donald Trump basically defying a lot of what we're being told the facts are around the Russia story, or what's your view of that?
I think you dig in and you try and find people who knew General Mattis when he was the commander of the 1MEF at Camp Pendleton and see what they say about him. You go find John Kelly's former chief of staff and you talk to about him. They've got an amazing national security team. But I got to add about negativity, Ivanka, Donald Jr., and Eric. Bobby Kennedy served Jack Kennedy. Hillary Clinton served Bill Clinton, and George W. Bush fired John Sununu for George H.W. Bush. This is not new, but it's being covered as a negative thing.
All right, we're out of time, but you get the last